Most toxic people do not fear strength. They fear something quieter. They fear the person who does not react, does not explain, and does not seek validation. They fear the one who stands still while chaos looks for a target and finds nothing to attach to. This fear is not loud. It does not show itself in confrontation. It appears later, in avoidance, in nervous jokes, in subtle attempts to regain control that fail quietly. Stoic philosophers understood this long before modern psychology tried to name it. Marcus Aurelius wrote that power comes from governing yourself, not others. When you master your inner responses, you remove the leverage others depend on. Toxic people survive on emotional access. They provoke to feel important. They manipulate to feel safe. When you deny them reaction, you deny them relevance. This video is not about domination or intimidation. It is about presence, restraint, and silent authority. These behaviors do not announce themselves. They simply change the balance of power. In this video, you will learn 8 silent behaviors that make toxic people uneasy without you raising your voice or proving anything. These behaviors are not techniques to control others. They are disciplines that control you. Stoicism teaches that the strongest position is neutrality under pressure. When you embody these behaviors consistently, toxic individuals sense that their usual tactics no longer work. They feel exposed, unnecessary, and powerless. You do not need to confront them or cut dramatic ties. Your calm becomes the boundary. This is not about becoming cold. It is about becoming unmovable. Watch carefully, because these behaviors work only when they are genuine, quiet, and sustained over time. Seneca warned that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Toxic people exploit this by triggering emotional stories in your mind. Stoicism interrupts that cycle. The Stoic does not suppress emotion, but refuses to be ruled by it. Authority in this sense is internal alignment. When your values are settled, manipulation loses its grip. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that other people's behavior is their burden, not his command. This mindset creates an invisible barrier. You are present, respectful, and firm without needing approval or conflict. Behavior 1. You do not explain yourself excessively. Toxic people look for explanations because explanations create openings. When you over-explain, you offer material to question, twist, and invalidate. A Stoic response is brief, complete, and final. You state what you will do or will not do without defending your reasoning. This does not mean being rude or dismissive. It means respecting your own judgment enough to let it stand. Marcus Aurelius advised acting according to reason, not applause. When you explain excessively, you subconsciously ask for permission. Toxic people sense this and press further. Silence after a clear statement creates discomfort for them because there is nothing to argue against. Your calm refusal to justify yourself signals self-trust. Over time, they stop probing because probing yields nothing. You are not hiding. You are not avoiding. You are simply finished speaking. This behavior removes the conversational leverage toxic people rely on. They fear it because it denies them influence while exposing their need for control. Behavior 2. You pause before responding. Speed is a weapon for toxic personalities. They rush conversations to provoke mistakes. A pause interrupts their momentum. When you take a moment before responding, you reclaim the pace. Seneca praised the mind that is not carried away by first impressions. A pause signals thoughtfulness and emotional regulation. It tells the other person that their words do not command an immediate reaction. Toxic people interpret this as resistance because it denies them instant feedback. Silence forces them to sit with their own words. Often, they reveal more than they intended. Your pause is not passive, it is deliberate. It communicates that you are listening, evaluating, and choosing. This quiet delay unsettles those who depend on impulsive reactions. They feel seen but not indulged. Over time, they become cautious around you, unsure how to provoke a predictable outcome. Behavior 3. You maintain consistent boundaries without drama. Toxic people test limits repeatedly. They expect emotional enforcement. Stoicism offers consistency instead. You set a boundary once, calmly, and you maintain it without commentary. Marcus Aurelius emphasized constancy as strength. When boundaries are enforced emotionally, they invite negotiation. When enforced quietly, they become facts. You do not argue when the boundary is crossed. You act. You leave the room. You end the conversation. You withhold access. This predictability removes the game. Toxic individuals fear what they cannot manipulate. Your calm consistency makes their tactics ineffective. They may escalate briefly, but escalation fails against silence. Eventually, they withdraw, sensing they cannot extract energy or control. Behavior 4. You do not mirror their emotional chaos. Toxic people project emotional volatility to destabilize others. They expect you to mirror it. Stoic discipline breaks this mirror. You remain steady while acknowledging facts without absorbing emotion. Seneca taught that anger is temporary madness. Refusing to mirror chaos is an act of clarity. When you stay composed, their intensity feels exaggerated and exposed. They become self-conscious. Emotional restraint reflects authority because it signals internal order. You do not need to suppress feeling. You simply do not perform it for an audience. Toxic people rely on emotional reciprocity to feel powerful. When they encounter calm instead, they feel irrelevant. This unsettles them deeply. Over time, they reduce contact or shift behavior, recognizing that chaos has no effect on you. Behavior 5. You choose distance without announcement. Stoicism values withdrawal from what disturbs the mind. Distance does not require explanation. You simply reduce availability. You respond less. You share less. You prioritize peace. Toxic people notice the absence before they understand it. They fear this because distance removes access without confrontation. Marcus Aurelius wrote about retreating into the self as a form of refuge. Your quiet withdrawal communicates self-respect. It denies toxic individuals the conflict they crave. They feel the loss of influence but cannot accuse you of hostility. Distance, chosen calmly, is one of the most powerful boundaries. Behavior 6. You speak with measured certainty. Certainty does not require volume. Stoic speech is deliberate and grounded. You avoid exaggeration, emotional language, and defensive tone. You state observations, decisions, and limits clearly. Toxic people depend on ambiguity to manipulate narratives. Measured certainty removes ambiguity. Seneca advised clarity as a moral duty. When you speak this way, toxic individuals feel exposed because their tactics rely on confusion. Your words leave little room for reinterpretation. You do not persuade, you declare. This quiet confidence unsettles those who seek dominance through verbal chaos. Behavior 7. You do not seek validation. Toxic people trade in approval and withdrawal. When you no longer seek validation, their currency loses value. Stoicism teaches self-sufficiency of judgment. You assess yourself by your values, not reactions. This independence is threatening. Toxic individuals fear irrelevance more than confrontation. When praise or criticism fails to move you, they lose leverage. Your grounded self-assessment creates an emotional boundary that cannot be crossed. Stoic power is not loud, and it does not announce itself. It is felt in the absence of reaction, the presence of clear boundaries, and the calm certainty of self-command. Toxic people fear what they cannot influence, and they retreat from those whose behavior is guided by principle rather than emotion. When you respond consistently instead of impulsively, manipulation loses its grip. You do not need to expose, confront, or dominate anyone. You simply become unavailable to emotional games. If this way of thinking resonates, take a moment to reflect on which of these behaviors you already live by and which one needs quiet strengthening. Stoic growth is not dramatic or public. It happens through steady alignment with values. If calm authority, grounded judgment, and psychological clarity matter to you, remain connected here. Not for motivation or noise, but for alignment and discipline.